Hi everyone, I'm Prosecutor Peter Lucido here in Macomb County, and I have with me today the Chief of the Consumer Protection and Senior Crime Unit, Danielle Strace. Welcome, Danielle.
Thank you, Pete. Good morning, everyone.
All right, so we have a lot to talk about because we've had a program in place now in Macomb County in the prosecutor's office called Stopping Crimes Against Our Seniors. But before we get there and tell everybody about these programs, let's talk about you. You're the chief of the Senior Crime Unit, also the Consumer Protection Unit. Tell us about your unit, how long you've been practicing as a prosecutor. Give us some background on you.
As a prosecutor, I started in Wayne County, and I started as an intern in 2012. And I pretty much did not leave there until 2020. While I was there, I handled everything from domestic violence cases, I handled general trial cases, and then I also, towards the end, my last 3 years, I was part of the senior crime division. So it is something that was very important to me.
And passion.
Yes, yes. And then from there, I went on to do some civil work doing insurance type of insurance fraud.
So you've had a little bit of the private practice or outside the prosecutor's practice.
Yes, yes. And then I realized how much I missed it. So I came back to the prosecutor's office at Macomb County in 2022. And for the last 6 months, I have been part of this unit. And in this unit, we handle a lot of different cases. Pretty much the consumer protection portion of it has kind of developed into a much larger catch-all unit where we're handling financial fraud all across Macomb County. Consumer-related fraud, and then we're also dealing with businesses, small businesses, independent, large businesses, nonprofit organizations, schools, pretty much anything related to that. We're handling cases that go from financial fraud, exploitation, embezzlement, a lot of, we call it larceny by conversion, by people stealing credit cards, identity, homicides, all the assaultive crimes. So we handle pretty much everything at the age of 65 and older.
So these seniors that are here in Macomb County, and I know that you and I have had these discussions offline regarding our population in Macomb County, are aging, and also because of modern technology, medicine, be it great doctors, we also are living longer, and our resources are vital to go ahead and sustain the quality of life of one. Are you seeing a uptick in the senior crimes that are happening to our seniors?
Absolutely. And I don't know if it's even an increase of crime, but also people are understanding that these are crimes. I think with all the community outreach that you're doing, that other leaders are doing, that people are understanding that this is a crime, that they don't have to feel shameful that this happened. I think that's a big thing.
That's a good point. How much of this goes unreported, do you think?
Probably a lot.
Nobody wants to rat out their family member for bilking them out of all their bread, do
right.
they? And I notice when I have these, and we've done 200 of these scams presentations out in the community. So if somebody says, hey, Pete, I'd like you to come out to our church or to our organization or to, our senior group, or come to our senior residence center where they're staying, I know that I'm listening to them when I tell them about the most up-to-date scams, if you will. Mm-hmm. But I also notice that when these books are put in the library, and that's where they can find them, or inside of the police department, they're reading them and they're realizing what type of scams out there. But those scams are changing every day, aren't they?
Yes.
The criminals are becoming smarter and doing things more sophisticated.
Yes.
And I just noticed yesterday they just talked about brushing, which is they send you a gift that's coming to your house and they tell you to open it up. When you open up that link, it absorbs all of your information out of your cell phone, which could also have your account numbers in there, your passwords. What can you recommend to the, out there, which from what you've seen in the crimes, would help them understand more about these type of scams that are going out there?
There's a lot of them. That's definitely a newer one. People are getting text messages from, USPS saying your package wasn't delivered. And anytime there's going to be a QR code or a link telling you that you need to, if you need more information, click on this link, that definitely don't do that, because that gives them the opportunity to hack into your phone, that gives them access to everything in your phone, your financial data, can give them access into your bank accounts and essentially wipe out bank accounts. So don't trust those types of messages. They don't, unless you have already signed up for some sort of alert. They will tell you exactly what the number is that you should be expecting alert from. You can save that into your phone and then know that's who you're getting the information from.
I notice with a lot of seniors, after they've been bilked out of their bread, or anyone for that matter, it could be an embezzlement, like you said, from a business. It could also be somebody that is a loved one that you put on your account and they take all your money. We understand that there is very limited amount of recovery.
Right.
Because they either have drug, alcohol, or a mixed combination. It could be also that they just go on shopping sprees and what have you. Is there any way you can tell when a case comes in what the collectability is like, or not really?
It really depends. If we know who the suspect is, a lot of times we are able to pull their financial documents. We follow the money to see what went in, what went out, where is it going. So in some cases, yes. A lot of times, especially in any sort of plea offer that we make, we say that it has to be paid up front. If it's not paid up front, you really don't get a deal. You have to earn that deal. So sometimes we do have people that will reach out to family members to try to get money or, things of that nature. So we have been able to recover, just in the 6 months since I've been in the unit, we've recovered nearly $400,000.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, we're about 380, 390. So we are doing everything we can.
And I noticed, when I talk to some of the victims, they indicate, I want my money back. That's what I want. I just want my money back. So you've already indicated that no deal would be given. They can plead as charged unless and until they put all the money where their mouth is, which means you took it, go find one of your loved ones that actually love you, bring them back their money. They've been bilked out of their money. Otherwise, they plead as charged. But these judgments are, better yet, if they're put on probation, it's generally a 5-year probation with the courts. Afterwards, if the money is not repaid, what remedy does the person that was bilked out of their money or embezzled out of their money have?
It turns into a civil judgment, and then they can pursue the civil remedies. But oftentimes it
goes uncollected.
Yes.
We don't like to tell people that, but you know what? The reality is, sometimes when they put themselves in that position, the person that becomes the victim, we don't have much of a choice. The judge only has jurisdiction over the person for 5 years for reporting probation and making sure the payments are made. But afterwards, that civil judgment still has to have a lawyer go out and try to collect it.
Right.
That seems unfair, doesn't it?
It does. It really does.
And it is, to be honest.
Yes.
That's why we request it all up front, which means we know if we get it up front, we try to make that victim whole. How does that affect somebody emotionally? How does that, meaning the victims that you deal with? And I know that we also have a unit for crime victims. They are advocates for the victims and it's one person, Michelle Von Land, and she does a great job.
Amazing.
Yeah, because she's dealing with the elderly day in and day out, and she's trying to comfort them, and you are trying to get the conviction and also focused on making sure that justice is served. Michelle is, on the other hand, she's making sure that they tell them about the court proceedings, how the next step is going to take, so that there's hand in glove, if you will, making sure that these victims are ultimately advised of everything going on in the proceedings so that they don't feel left out. And especially the elderly who may be a little bit more vulnerable, maybe a little bit more naive, if you will. The greatest generation that ever lived is our seniors. And as a result, even my mom and dad, they were more trusting. They kept their doors open, but they didn't use a lot of these tools that are out there, like cell phones. and computers because they didn't, number one, know how to operate them, but number two, never bought them.
Mm-hmm.
And as a result, now that the seniors are almost mandated to use this to live their life out, there's a lot of things that they don't know that they push the buttons on these phones and these computers. Any recommendation you can give to the seniors about those tools?
Well, one thing I do want to say, too, to go back, I have noticed a lot of judges that are actually implementing jail and even prison sentences, recognizing that no payment had been made. They were given this opportunity. So I think that that's been really huge for us as well, because at least if they aren't getting their money back, they're not feeling like this was just a slap on the wrist, that something is actually being done to hold these people accountable. So I just wanted to add that because I've been noticing that a lot lately.
So thank you, judges. Thank you.
Yes.
Good. Hold them accountable. Give them redemption only after they pay, but if not, jail them, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yes. So in terms of just being safe and protecting yourself, there's a lot of organizations. The AARP is a huge resource because they have on their website, aside from everything that they have a special section just related to fraud. And in that section, they have different insights about the different frauds that are going on. They have resources on how you can protect yourself from becoming a victim of these scams. They also have an interactive map, which you can type in your zip code and see everything in your area that people are actually writing in, saying what types of scams, and it's dated and everything. So people can be a little bit more aware, and I think the more aware the public is about these scams, then the less likely they will fall victim to a scam. And, don't trust people with your money. Don't trust strangers with your money. Protect yourself. There's so many resources out there. There's also a consumer financial protection organization that also offers these resources to let you know what types of scams are out there, to tell you how to protect yourself, the things to do, the things not to do, just things to watch out for. And I think that that's, really huge. If you have access to the internet, these things are available. A lot of these, you have our scams booklets. They're placed everywhere.
Everywhere.
So people have access to that as well, and there's resources in there to help you reach out further.
This restitution, it becomes almost an accounting process. Your type of cases, and God bless you, because everything you and your unit does is binders or reams of paper. It's more of a paper case of proving the embezzlement of somebody who was in a trusted position with the companies, or embezzlement of a loved one stealing their money. It's all about that paper showing that the money was taken and then it was diverted, not with company proceeds or private proceeds, but put into their own benefit and use for the one that is the accused. On an average, these are lengthy and timely cases. And there's only, a very limited amount in your unit, and we are trying our best to get more people in your unit, and that's why when you say, look, these are taking time.
Yeah.
It's not something that is just an open and shut, like looking at a video, but the police agencies that deal with these type of cases, how does a case begin? Do you do any of the investigation? And at the very end, how do you know when to sign a warrant on these cases?
It depends. If it is a financial fraud of older population, they can contact Adult Protective Services. Adult Protective Services then within 24 hours will investigate. And within their investigation, within 24 hours of that, they have to then notify the police departments. And then within 10 days, then they notify the prosecutor's office. So in advance, I'm kind of knowing what could possibly be coming to the office. I can't really do anything at that stage, but it's helpful to kind of have an idea of what's going on in advance. And then if there is something that shows in the investigation that this was fraud, the police department will then begin their investigation. They contact family members, they contact other witnesses, and they begin to develop their case, develop their suspect. They'll get bank records for both our suspect, they'll get it for the victim to kind of show a trend of the spending, because you have a lot of people that say, well, they wanted me to have this money.
That's their excuse?
That's, you get that excuse a lot, that they owed me this money. And once you follow the trend of somebody's bank account, you can see people's habits pretty quickly. So once the police go through a thorough investigation and if they are able to find that there's enough probable cause to send us a warrant, they'll then send us the warrant. I review it along with Caitlin Selaney. She is the other prosecutor in the unit with me. And we will then go through everything. If there's things we need extra, we'll contact the police department, tell them, we need something extra, and they will get it back to us if they can. And then once we review everything, we see what kind of charges. And like I said, that could be embezzlement, larceny by conversion.
That could take months.
Yes. I mean, some cases it could take 10, 20 hours just to get through the warrant itself. And then, if you need anything additional.
That's time, because if you're requesting it, they don't have to just drop everything they're doing. The person that's preparing those records, it may take them a week or so to get it. And therefore, in the meantime, the victim is waiting to see if whether or not the warrant will issue and whether or not there's going to be a prosecution in the case.
Oftentimes, when we're requesting these records, we have to subpoena the banks. Sometimes that could take even 30 days or more.
Because of the privacy laws.
Right.
Yeah.
And then once you get those records, it might reveal something more. And it becomes a large cycle that it takes a couple months for most of these cases to even be investigated.
And I noticed that, the letters I get as the prosecutor, as well as some of the emails, are saying, why is it taking so long? Well, like anything else, we want to make sure we get it right the first time, and we don't charge willy-nilly. We go ahead and make sure we can at least prove the probable cause requisite to go ahead and proceed with the case. Anything else you think? I know that the scams presentations are out there. They can go online. They can schedule a scams presentation to at least be a preventative measure to understand that there is some tools in the toolboxes that they may be able to use, identify things that they shouldn't be involved with, including not answering your telephone, your cell phone, when it's not in your directory in your cell phone, because those people are possibly individuals that are going to try to communicate with you to get information. And I understand a lot of things that you put online, your information and or applications you fill out, has asked for outside information that may not be germane for a person to fill out, and they could redline it. But on a computer, it turns red and says, you got to give us this information to go to the next screen. Oh, no, 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 no. They're fishing for your information because they sell it, and a lot of these scams happen that way. Anything you can conclude with and tell the viewers out there, other than the fact that, look, I know they got to stay vigilant, on guard, and they almost have to look at themselves and says, if they were taken advantage of, even by their own family member, then they need to report it. But there's also the crimes of assaults to these individuals. Talk about that. On the senior crimes as assaultive, meaning somebody who has either bruised them up really bad, beat them very bad. What do they need to do?
They need to report it. This is, again, the shame that is involved, and knowing that somebody is taking care of you. You don't want to say anything. I don't want to lose this person taking care of me. What else will I do? There's so many resources out there to be able to set people up with the care that they need. Caregiver burnout is something that we also see a lot.
What's that about? What is that?
A caregiver having to take care of another person at the older stages in their lives and be just tired and frustration. And there are also resources out there for caregivers to be able to
cope with this,
to learn better skills and how to handle their care. And so I think just mainly being informed, trying to be informed. And if it doesn't feel right, it probably isn't. And so it needs to be reported. And it doesn't always mean that it's going to end up with criminal prosecution. Not everything that's wrong ends up being a crime, but at least it gives you the ability to get what you need so that you are protected in the future, that this doesn't keep happening. Nobody deserves to be treated that way. And, you know, you can't get the help unless you reach out for the help.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think they are intimidated that somebody won't come and see them anymore and they'll be isolated. But also, when I was a child and I would use the monkey bars, remember the monkey bars, everybody? Or the poles that you slide down, and I'd come home because I'd fall off of them and I'd be bruised up. My mother knew that those were healthy bruises because it was done while I was playing versus the unhealthy bruises that some of the people see, like the Meals on Wheels, when they deliver the food, they see unhealthy bruises on these seniors. They know it is not from normal activity, and they have a duty almost there to report it to Adult Protective Services to investigate, find out how it happened. Remember, there's no excuse for elder abuse ever in this society. The elderly are vulnerable. Sometimes they cannot take care of themselves. They depend on us, the younger generation, to take care of them. And as Danielle said, we get burned out. I remember with my mother and father. I mean, we have to go there every day. We have to do a routine. Yes, there's skills that you have to have, but most of us don't have those skills. But we learn to get through it. And taking it out on the elderly, they had nothing to do with this except just getting old. Mm-hmm. Danielle, it was a pleasure having you on today.
Thank you.
And I love the work that you do because I'm a senior. So make sure I'm protected there.
Always.
And I love the fact that your leadership and your role that you play is inspirational to a lot of seniors because you're there on guard as their guardian angel.
Yeah.
Thank you for being with us today.
Absolutely.
And keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us.